Welcome to the JSS training program. I am Prem. Today I am going to explain you and we'll see the example like how I am creating a JSS component in a Sitecore Next.js project. So let me show you like what are the things that we are going to do today. So we are going to create the JSS component where I'll create one JSS component. I'll create a template for the component. Next, I'll create the JSON rendering for the component. Next, I'll assign the component to the page. After that, we'll also see what the data we are getting in the layout service, and also we'll see the same. We'll try to query the data source in a JSS GraphQL. Okay, so let me quickly start with the creating a JSS component. So in Sitecore project with the Next.js, creating component is easy. I mean, we can scaffold the component like a JSS scaffold, and we can create that way. But I will show you we can like manually create the component as well. So where we have to create, I mean, this is the structure we have for the JSS Next.js project. So I'll go to the SRC. There I'll find a directory or folder name like a component. So there I can just right click and like a new file. I can name it like my component. So we have to make sure the first character must be capital. My component, I'll name like this, my component .tsx, because we are making this component in a JavaScript TypeScript, so must be tsx. Okay, so we created a component like a my component.tsx. So now we have to write the component here, like what are the it will be a JSS component what we are going to import. So I mean, will not waste the time. I'll just copy a component I have already built. Let me just copy it from here. I'll copy the code and paste it here. I'll explain you like what we are going to do. So first of all, we have to see the import. So we must have a proper import from the Sitecore JSS, Sitecore JSS and Sitecore JSS Next.js. So what we are importing, so it depends like what are the fields we want to render into the this JSX component. JSS means the HTML component. What HTML component we are rendering and what kind of the data or may the value we are going to fetch the data from the Sitecore data source or the Sitecore CMS. So for this component, let's just say we are going to just fetch the heading, and I can say like a description. Okay, so description. Okay, so how we define the type here, you can say like how we define what kind of field or what kind of data. So this is the how we define. So it must be, because we are making like a component based component, so we have to make like this. Okay, and type is a TypeScript. We define something like a type. Okay, so what are the fields we are going to fetch from the Sitecore? We are going to fetch the field like a heading and this description. Okay, so these are the things we have to also define in the template. So we'll create the template. I'll show you like how we are going to create the template. Okay, so for now, in a field we are defining this heading as a field string, description as a field string. Okay, and it's a type. Next, we make a component. We are making a component like this. So in a component, how we are writing like a const component, we are passing these props here. So what kind of props it is? Okay, so the field, this one, the field we are passing, so what kind of field it is, it's a type of, you know, the now for now it's a type of like a demo component pros, but now we have created a component name like a my component .tsx. So we have to, you know, we'll write like with the component name. So let me just write it this way. So you have to, I mean, you have to just know like how we are going to create the component. If you are new to the JSS, creating a JSS component, so you have to just follow the way, I mean, we create, or maybe you can just take a reference from already created JSS component with the when we are creating a JSS project template. Okay, so let me write definitely generally we name with the component name. So let me say like a my component. We can keep it any name here, it's not a problem, but better to keep with the component name. So now it's my component props. So let me, the field we are passing here, so it will be now like a this type, my component props type. Okay, now we are returning a JSX. So this is the simple HTML we want to return like a component, or we want to make like a component in a page. So there I can write like any, you know, like any HTML component here. So for now let's keep like this, you know, the class name content component. Later we'll change the class name, also you how we are going to change. Next, if we have to render a, you know, some kind of heading or maybe a title, so for the JSS we have a tag name like a, it's a JSS tags like a text. Okay, a text, then a tag like a h2, and in the field, because we are passing a props a field here, so I can, now I have changed the name for the field. So let me write it like this, heading. So it would be like a heading. Okay, for the for the rich text, so I'll tell you what the rich text is. Rich text is something we are describing like a paragraph. So this is the tag for the paragraph, you can say. So for that we'll write like a description, because we are keeping in a field like a description. So will write like a field, in a field we will access like a field of description. Okay, so I mean we can remove this, you know, this class. If you, I mean, if we are, if we now, if we have a, if we haven't write any classes, so we can just write like this, it's not a problem. And we have to, I mean, we have to export, I mean, this one. So first of all we have to write the component name, my component. So it's my component. Let me copy and write the same name here. Okay, so this is my component, and I'll write, we have to export that component here, like, oh sorry. Okay, and what kind of component it will return, so we have to also write the correct props. Okay, so now we are done with the creating a component in the JSS component. Next we have to create a template with this field, heading and description. So let's go to the Sitecore, and in the Sitecore, this is how Sitecore looks like. Let me go to the template. So I can just go, I can click on this icon and just open a template manager. So in a template manager we are going to create those fields here. So I'll go here in the feature. There I have already created a folder like a headless JSS. So what I'll do, let me just create a template. So how I'm going to create template, let me create template like this. I'll keep the template name with the component name just to identify this. We'll wait for to load the template. Okay, I will write like a my component. Okay, next ls.js. Okay, so our template is created. Now we are going to put the field name here. So section we can keep like a component, my component data. In the field we'll write heading. Next we have description, so let's take a description. Okay, so for the heading it will be a single line text. For the description, cause we supposed to make like a paragraph, we'll keep it a rich text. Okay, in a Sitecore, I mean we find the data type like a rich text. So whatever field we are defining, that will be that can contain anything. Maybe image, maybe a long text, or maybe a complete paragraph. So let's just save it. Okay, so next item is we created component, we created the template for the component. Next we have to create the JSON rendering. So let's go to the this content editor. To create the JSON rendering, we have to go to the layout in a rendering, in a project, in a headless.js. I have already created this folder, so there I'll create a JSON rendering. So how I am going to create, I'll right click it, insert, I'll search a JSON rendering here. So let me select the JSON rendering. And in the JSON rendering, what important is we have to keep the same component name in a JSON rendering. So that's why I'm just copying the correct name, correct component name. I'll keep it here like this. Hit OK. Also I'll verify the component name here, so I can see it's a correct component name. Next thing what we have to do is, we can define a parameter template. For now we can ignore it. Next we have to define this data source location. For data source location we can give / like this, and data source template. So whatever like template we created just a minute before, we have to reference it here. So I'll click insert. I'll go to the feature. We created a template in headless.js folder like a my component. I'll select the my component. I'll save it. Okay, so let's see the list. So we created a JSON rendering. Now we save it. Okay, The next point is we have to assign that component to the page. Okay, so for now what we do, we can assign it through the to the from the experience editor, but for now let's directly assign. I'll show you how we assign the component to the page. So this is we have headless JSS as a tenant. Next we have local JSS app is our application, JSS application. And the pages, if I say, if I go click on the home, so home is one of the page item. Next inside the home I have a about page also. Okay, so let me, we'll assign the component in about. Okay, let me just, so how we can assign, first of all I have to click on the about page item. Okay, I will make sure the about page item is selected. Yes, about page item is selected. Now we have to click on presentation, then details, so we are assigning a component, JSON rendering component, to the page. So we'll go to the final layout here. In the final layout, there is no rendering controls are attached here, so let me click edit. I'll click on the control, I'll click add. What the component we have created now? My component. And what the for now we are going to use the placeholder like headless main. Okay, and we'll see, we'll check this like open properties and dialog box, because we want to create the data source at the same time. So this is the way, when we are not operating through experience editor, so this is the way we create, we add the component into the page. I'll show you the how we can add a component through the experience editor as well. So let's click at the browse. Okay, so now we want to create the data source. So we'll select the data and create. I clicked on the create. I'll name a data source like my component data. So our data source is attached this way. Okay, let me select OK. I hit save. If I see now here inside the page about, and inside the data I can see one data source item is created. Okay, so in it I can see we have two fields here. So this is the these are the fields we created in the template. So I can just write some dummy data, maybe JSS heading about page. Okay, now in the rich text I click on the show editor and we'll put some data here. Let me copy some data from here. I can put this way. Okay, if you don't want some kind of style here, you can you can do it whatever, like you are going to directly copy paste here. You can first copy it on a notepad and you can paste it. Let me hit save. Okay, so I mean what we did is we created a component in in the front-end application. We created a template in Sitecore. We created a JSON rendering in the Sitecore CMS. We assigned the component to the page. Next, we have to run this. We have to run the project. Run the project. Okay. JSS Next.js project. Generally, it runs on localhost 3000. Okay, let's see. So I'll go to the JSS Next.js project. I'll go to the terminal. Already I am in the terminal. Let me. So what I write I write JSS start connected. I'll hit save. Hit the enter. Okay, let me refresh this page now. So I mean, because we have added the component in about, so I'm going to just refresh the about page. So as you can see, I mean, our component is that component is rendering on the about page. Okay, so this is our heading and these are our paragraphs. Okay, so let me just show you if I add something like I mean let me add let me now remove it like about and save. and refresh. So it's about page. Okay, so I mean we now we created and we created the component, and we are able to run the component through the JSS component for the about page, and the result is showing here. Okay, so next thing, we have to see the how we can how the layout service works here. Okay, so let me show you like how. So for this to layout service is one of the JSS service from where the data is exposed to the front-end application, where front-end application catch those data in the form of, because layout service release those data in a JSON format. So let's see that. So how we see the layout service. So for the layout service, what we have to write, like our domain name, then API layout, then render, then this is the page item. So let's just say for now I'm going to see the layout service data for home. So I'll just copy the home about page. I have to replace the about page item add here. The rest I have to also add the SS API key. So you can see this is the layout service is returning the data. So because we added one component in a JSS main JSS in a JSS main placeholder, so you can see here. So I can show you how the JSS headless works. Okay, so these things you can see there is a like page editing there, the item path, it is the route name because it's a about page, so route name will be about page. Next, what we have to see is we have to see the placeholders, because the front-end application match with the placeholder and the component name. So now for now we have a 3 placeholder. So what are the placeholder now? There you can see headless main placeholder. So headless header have nothing. It's you can see the it's just an array is 0. There is nothing. Next we can see the headless main. Headless main we have this. Headless main we have this component returning the component name my component, because the component name we attached with the headless main. Then data source, it's returning that what kind of data it's returning. So we can see here. So data source path, then parameters there, then fields. So this is the fields we defined here in the component. Okay, like field, heading and description. So you can see how our component is mapping to the layout service data. So these fields, you can see there is a field, there we have a heading and its value. Next we have heading, then about, okay, yeah, we have a description here and its value. So you can see there is a description. We have also defined in the component like a description. So you can understand how our component is mapping with the layout service. Okay, so you can see this data is returning like this. Okay, and the last you can see the headless footer, this placeholder, it's returning nothing. Okay, same thing we can see in a GraphQL, because in a JSS the GraphQL play an important role as well, just to fetch the whatever like data may be through the component we are not able to fetch, we can fetch it through the GraphQL. It will return like a GraphQL is a query language, we can say. We can query anything in terms of Sitecore there. So how we query? So suppose for now I have this data source, I want to query this data source component data. So I can write the path or maybe ID. So let me for now let me copy the ID and put it into the GraphQL there. Let me replace the ID name like this. Language what I want to return, I want to return like a name and ID. For now let me just remove this. Then fields I want to return field like a name and its value it will come. So let me just hit say this way. So you can see we are able to fetch that component data source and ID, and it's you can see the fields is returning like field name, heading, the value, about, page, and description like a field and its value. Okay, so through the GraphQL we can fetch anything. Maybe in terms of fetching something, so we can fetch it. Okay, it's just the playground. We have to put this to the component in a so that it works with our component. I'll show you some in maybe a next video or sometime. Okay, so today we created one component and it's reflecting like this. Okay, maybe in the next what I can tell you how we can assign the let me assign one CSS styling. Let me the component border. If you want to border, in a we can write any in a CSS, we can create a CSS file. We can write anything, any class, because Next.js support the class name. We can write a class, CSS class, and whatever attribute we can add, and we can add individually. We can add that class to the any text, any tags, any text, or maybe any tags. Sorry, any tags. So let me write a class name, because it's a border, so component I have to add here. Okay, let me add like a class name component border. So it will, let me save it. We'll see. So you can see our component border is coming like this. Okay, next I have written one CSS class here, like a the heading color. So let me apply that to the component. Let me write like in a heading class name like this. If I save, I can see no. class name, it must work. Oh, class name. We have to, this is the way, when we write a class, we have to write it properly, like class name and this. Okay, so I can see the effect now. So now this is in a blue color. Okay, so this is way we create the component, we assign the the whole process. I show you how we create it and how we can assign the style on it. Okay, so in the next I will show you how we can create a JSS SXA component or JSS SXA rendering. Okay, so thanks for this. I'll explain, let's connect on the let me explain you, or maybe come with the next video about the JSS SXA rendering. Thanks.